This video right here is extremely haunting to me. This is on the PBD podcast, Patrick Bet David, if you're familiar with him. He has two Christians and two Muslims come on and debate each other for about 2 hours. And PBD, he even says at the end of the podcast, his intention was to bring and unite them both together. But there's no way that that's going to happen or can happen or ever will happen because of the stark contrasts in the two beliefs. And these words are extremely chilling that you're about to listen to right here. This is of a Christian ex-Muslim who lived in Morocco and him asking a very simple question to these Muslims. And I want you to hear his answer. If you're a Christian, this should horrify you.
Because this concerns me. Do you believe I should be put to death?
I believe that the punishment for apostasy in a correct Islamic state is death. I believe that that's the correct. Let me finish. Let me just respond, sir. I believe that that is the correct punishment, which has been revealed by God, both in the Quran and the Bible. And for Robert to turn around,
I asked you.
Let me finish.
I asked you to believe I should be killed today.
And I answered you, sir.
Yes or no?
I answered you.
Yes or no?
That is horrifying to me, and hopefully this is horrifying to you as well, that this is something that this gentleman says with clear confidence and everything. The gentleman, he just said, quick question, like, because I'm apostate, because I've converted from where I was to where I am as a Muslim to now as a Christian, do you believe that I should be put to death? And this gentleman said yes. And mind you, the other thing that is horrifying to me about this is these men are not proclaiming Christians. These are not people, proclaiming ISIS members. These are not people who are radical. They're not people who are extremists or anything like that. These are just normal followers of Islam. And they just are trying to obey the Quran to the best of their ability. And with that, came to this conclusion that yes, this gentleman does deserve to be put to death. Which begs the question, what is stopping him from putting him to death? Because again, we can talk theory and strategy and all the semantics all day, but like, what is the actual thing that is stopping him from doing this in this very moment? And the answer is very simple. The only thing that is stopping him in this very moment from putting him to death is Sharia law is not in place. Meaning that if Islam was the rule, religion of whatever country, and they were able to implement this from a judicial or government type standpoint, that they would then be able to kill everybody who is a Christian in that area. I mean, these dudes are sitting right next to each other. And they're clearly saying in full confidence, yes, if we're in another country right now where I had the liberty and the freedom to do so, I would put a bullet in your head. The fact that it is normal and common and it is being just so nonchalantly spoken in public now that this is reality, that this is actually how things are supposed to be, is horrifying to me. Obviously, I've had a lot of conversations about topics like this of Islam, and I've had a lot of conversations with people in other spaces as well that I'm like, yeah, like if I were to go to the wrong country and preach the things that I preach, then it would be death for me. If, again, right circumstances where the Sharia law is in place, or Muslims are in charge, then I could be put to death just simply for saying that I believe that Jesus is king, or that I believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven. And it's interesting because you get so many of these different sects of Islam where I hear some people and they say, oh, well, we just believe in the same God. We believe in the same Abrahamic God. We just, debate on the little things, which, for us Christians, we would say the complete opposite. We'd say, no, we fundamentally disagree. And we have just a few superficial points that we agree on with the Abraham story, maybe the creation story. But no, at large, we are fundamentally at odds with each other when it comes to, we believe that it is by grace that you've been saved through faith, not of your own works, lest any man should boast. But it's a free gift of God unto salvation. We believe that as Christians. They believe that your works will get you into heaven. We believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through him. They believe that Muhammad was a great prophet that is supposed to lead people to Allah. We believe that Jesus was God. They obviously believe that Jesus was just a great prophet. We believe in the Quran's words to follow the letter, follow the Gospels. And the Quran teaches them that as well until you start pushing them on points like in John, where it tells them that Jesus is the only way to heaven, to which they then start skirting. When you go to John 1, where it says that in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and then they start skirting. Or when you talk about John 18, where he says in the beginning before Abraham was, I am, they start skirting and saying, oh, well, I was actually, the Bible was corrupt. Don't you think that if Muhammad was that good at his job, and he was actually getting real prophecy from God, he would have known that, and he would have warned of that in the Quran. So he would say the real letter was actually correct. The real gospel is correct. But now that it's changed, it's not correct anymore. Here's another one of the strange things that they'll say. If I ask a Muslim right now, hey, I want to become Muslim, can I please, read your book in English because I don't speak Arabic? They go, oh yeah, of course. You'll be able to understand it virtually the exact same. And then if I say, okay, well, I'm going to actually now use it in English to start correcting things that you're teaching or that the Quran teaches, they'll say, oh, well, you actually just don't understand the Quran because you don't speak Arabic. A lot of these very, very stark contrasts between the two religions that are huge concerns when it comes to, again, the amount of people that are coming into the country that are of Muslim beliefs. Now, obviously, there's no way for you to target or strategize how to keep people out of the country or to regulate the amount of people coming into the country based upon religious beliefs, because religion has, technically speaking, has nothing to do with geographic location. Now, we obviously know that it has implications of that, right? So we know that people who live in certain parts of the world are going to more likely or have a higher probability of being of a certain religious belief system. But fundamentally, you can't just start saying, I'm not going to let you in because you're Muslim. And the concern that these gentlemen bring up later was, if we have enough people who are Muslims coming into the country, then we will have this challenge of, if Sharia law does theoretically get put into place one day, and that does get overturned, our democratic system that we have currently, what does that mean for all the Christians who live in the country? It would mean very bad things. Now, obviously, the likelihood of that happening is pretty low. The time frame in which that would have to happen also would actually have to be extremely long. I'm confident Jesus would probably come back before that time would come, but that's something serious to consider. I think that Islam, is one of the greatest threats, this type of Islam especially, to the Christian culture that we are called to live out as believers. And I don't know. This video is extremely chilling to me, and hopefully it's given you guys something to think about. You're more than welcome to watch the whole podcast, but it's a lot of arguing and talking over each other and raising voices, which I'm not a fan of listening to. But I think it's really interesting to note that we have truth to preach, and we are not going to change what we preach just so that other people like it or listen to it or enjoy it better. We're going to preach the truth because it's the truth, and Jesus promises in Matthew 10, Luke 10, we will be persecuted for that truth. The letters to Timothy also clarify that if you are living godly, you will face persecution. And God, I just hope that you bring